Folks, I can't thank you enough for joining us here today. Again, appreciate it. So, what we're going to be talking about here today is the advanced certification for residential contractors. Things I'm going to talk about today for contractors like yourself is something that you may be doing already. There may be some things in here that, oh, I've already been doing that, or I do that already. So I'm not here to put anybody down. I'm not here to say you're not doing a good job. I'm sure everybody's doing a great job doing what they're doing. There may be something that you pick up here today, or a few things. So specifically the tools that we have available to you at our website that are free. Everything today is free. There's no charge for anything. So we want to show you how to use those tools, talk about this 3-step process of developing that relationship with a residential contractor, and to make your job more proficient and easier to go along with. So again, my name is Don Clayton. Appreciate you being here today. I'm actually going to see if this works here. Keep my camera on here, but I got a big glare behind me, so I might turn that off here. So I am going to shut that off for the time being. That's not going to work. So anyway, all right, folks, so let's get rolling here. We're going to get into the program here. So building a professional approach to your business. With a customer's need focused approach, this certification program strives to elevate the process used to gain insight into the needs of the homeowner and expand the value you are delivering to them. So we have done, Allan Block itself has done a great job with our production partners throughout North America, working within that certification program. And folks that have joined us there have really gained value in learning the process of installing retaining wall block. And every one of our contractors out there that have gone through that program do a great job installing the product. So we can't tell you how to build more walls better, but what we'd like to do here is talk about how building your business better, being a little bit more professional approach. And that's the questions we get from more contractors out there that are starting new, or maybe been in the business for a short period of time. This program is going to help you develop a more professional approach to dealing with the residential contractor. This is just for residential contractors. Commercial's a whole another avenue to go down. But the residential contractor and working for a homeowner themselves, we know that working with a homeowner, when they actually have to get a project or projects done at their place of residence, is the most stressful time in their lives. You come there, and you're going to start doing the work. You're disrupting their flow. You may be tearing up their backyard or the front yard. The kids can't play. It's the most stressful time and the hardest decision for a homeowner to make to get stuff done at the house, for most part. What we're going to talk about here today is obviously selling yourself, talking about the different levels of service you can offer to your residential customer, the process of that initial meeting, the process of that proposal meeting, and the process of a pre-construction meeting. So those are the 3 steps that we're going to be focused on here today. So we're going to talk about what are the needs for a customer. We got to find out the needs of those customers. I had some work done at my house a while back last summer, and again, it was stressful for me too. And I had always pick 3 different contractors to come and give me estimates. That's the rule of 3 there that I always try to follow, as you do, I'm sure. But you always don't go for the most expensive. You don't always go for the least expensive. But you may go for the most expensive. You always try to find that middle ground there. I found that, and this is kind of the reason why we built this program. The contractor came to my house was the one that ended up doing a job. He was the most expensive because of the way he approached the whole process here. He came in and he sat down with me and my family, and we went through all these questions he was asking me of what I was looking to get done, or us. We all, it was a joint effort, so to speak. But it was a real nice process, and he really took the stress level out of the family. He sold his company. He came in with his company bio, his booklet. We had all kinds of references in there. And again, you folks may be doing this already, but and then some may not. But that really eased our mind, so to speak, to go with the contract that we chose to go with. It was a real successful project, everything was laid out in front of us. We knew timelines, dates, and everything that when things were going to be done, delivered, who was on the job site, references, or not references, but the resumes of each person on the site of what they had. So, he had it all laid out. It was really nice. So that's how we developed this program around that actual process. So finding out the customer needs, that was one thing to do. What expectations does the homeowner have of their potential contractor? So homeowners don't have, in my opinion, sometimes the contractor is a big scary creature to come to their house, and you always think they're out to get you, so to speak. Reducing that stress level and opening up yourself and explaining to them how the process works really made us feel a lot better. And hopefully that's what you're doing, or maybe you'll take away from today's presentation. So the path to satisfying customers. What services do you intend to provide as their contractor? So those are some of the things we're going to talk about as well. So getting back to the reason why we're doing this. So folks, we've had that success with that certification program, and we want to roll this into a program where we can extend that program. We can't tell you how to put blocking better, as I said before. You have your own way of doing that, your pavers, and this is just not about retaining wall block. This is about all aspects of outdoor hardscape living and landscaping, the softscapes, the pavers, seating walls, the retaining walls, whatever the case may be. This process we're going to talk about here today is to help, again, develop that little bit more professionalism when we're dealing with the residential contractor, our customer. I keep saying contractor, my apologies, but the customer. Those are the folks that we want to make sure that we're taking care of. So, step one. Step one is the initial meeting you're going to have with your potential client. And some of the things we're going to talk about, as you'll see right here, form follows function, service follows need. So these are the things that we're going to discuss through this first section. Different levels of service that you offer based on the homeowner's needs. And you'll see right here, we're going to go right through these, but we're going to drill down into these a little bit further in the slide. So I'm not going to go and talk about each one here, but these are some of the things that we're going to discuss throughout the process. So you'll see all that right here. So the first thing that you can talk about, first thing you want to do is make sure you're selling your business. When you first go in there, you want to bring that bio or booklet, or have a booklet together showcasing your company, showing past projects, pictures inside that booklet, references that you have. Show them the things that you offer to them too. Do you offer a concept design for that project, and have an example in that booklet or bio that you have along with you. Do you offer preliminary design construction details along with that service that you offer? Now, all these things can be done with the tools that we have available to you that we're going to show you here shortly. But is this something that you do offer to your potential customer? 3D concept drawings as well. We do have that 3D program that you can incorporate a whole host of ideas in there for your customer themselves. And again, that's bringing pavers, plantings, seat walls, retaining walls, everything. Again, we're not just talking about the Allan block retaining wall here. We're talking about the whole package that you're going to sell to your potential customer during this initial meeting. You, as the potential contractor, you do have those leads, or you have that understanding of, do we need building permits? Do we need engineering done on the site there? Because that's the territory you're working in. These are questions you're going to start asking your potential client to see where you're going to go with this, what they're going to need. So they may not know they need building permits or engineering, and that's something you're going to educate your customers on. So you're asking questions or proposing questions that they don't even know exist out there. So you're satisfying that need for them too, and you're helping them understand how this project is going to be done. There could be customers or contractors that come on site there. They may not ask that question. So by you proposing all this information to them and asking them these questions will help you land that project. So understand your customer's vision. So the first thing you want to find out is the vision of what they're going to use. So how do you intend to use the space? How often do you expect to use this space? Again, these are just some bullet points we're going to drill down to here in a minute. So the first thing we want to do is understand our customer's vision. How do you intend to use the space you would like us to create? So have they seen a project out there that they've seen that, this, I've seen my neighbors got something like this, or I saw a project on the side of the road, front yard, backyard, whatever the case may be. But these are a list of questions that we're going to give to you in a packet when we're all said and done here that you could add to your initial meeting. So how do you intend to use this space that we'd like us to create? Open-ended questions, not just these yes/no questions. Try to keep those open-ended questions there so you can develop that discussion with them so they understand where you're coming from. How often do you expect to use this space? Again, that's another question you can ask them, and then evoke that conversation with them. This is something that you're going to discuss with them, but how often are you going to expect them to use this space? What will be the most important aspect of the new living space or part of your yard? So what is the focal point they're looking for? Do they want a fire pit? Are they looking for a seat wall or grilling station? Do they want new softscapes across the back of the yard? So what's the most focal point or aspect they're looking for when we're done and complete with this project? The hardscapes industry has come a long way in the past 20 years. 20 years ago, you'd never see anything like this in someone's backyard where you have a nice grilling area, fire pit, seating walls and stuff like that. We've really come a long way in the past 20 years. So, and homeowners don't understand that. So this is something you want to make sure that you bring to them so they understand what's available, what can be done. And this is your expertise. You're the one that's going to bring this information to them. Have you seen other projects that are an inspiration for what you'd like to transform your yard into? So again, I kind of brought that up before, but maybe they have a vision or they have. But you're going to have that design ideas book there with you. You're going to have your portfolio there that you've created. So maybe they're going through that and they're picking stuff out, or maybe they have their own vision as well. But again, you are going to start extracting that information from them to find out what their needs are and make them feel real comfortable. Great question. What's kept you from doing this project before now? There could be a multitude of, maybe because of the COVID-19, people are spending more time at home now, and now they realize they need more usable space outside of their house. So people can distance themselves, not family-wise, obviously, but they can, when you're confined space for a long period of time, we understand how that can become a little annoying. So maybe that's one reason they haven't done it. It could be a monetary reason as well. But what's kept them from doing this project? But again, these are just questions that you can start asking your customers, which will really, open their eyes to maybe things they didn't even think about. They haven't thought about the questions why we haven't done this for now. But this is some of the things that you can bring up to them. What has been your experience with contractors on other projects and you have done with them? So that's a great question to ask them. Have you had bad experiences with contractors, and what was that bad experience? You don't want to do the same thing, and if you don't ask that, you may repeat something that somebody else has done, and they don't like that, or whatever the case may be. You are offering, advice and maybe a solution to that issue that they have with a past contractor. So, great question to ask a homeowner. And this is something that was asked of me when I had my project done at my house. So that's why I kind of interjected in here. So. It was a great question. I would never expect that from a potential contractor coming to my residency to ask me that question, and I thought it was really, really well done once it was said and done. Is this a project you would like to have done all at once or in phases? So they may say, listen, I'm only looking for a paver patio in my backyard right now. All right, but we can expand on that. So maybe we want to do more in the backyard over time. Or they're saying they're envisioning just doing, okay, I only have money now for the paper patio, but I want to put a seating wall up around it. I want a grilling station, over time too. So that might be something that invokes the question, would you mind if we provided a concept plan for your entire yard? Great way to bring back repeat business to them. Offer them a conceptual design of the whole yard. But they may only say, I'm only looking for a flower bed with a little wall around it and some stuff like that for now. But, with the tools that we have to offer you folks, you can develop a nice 3D rendering for someone's backyard with a couple clicks of a button. And once you get the use of that 3D modeling tool we have and how easy it is to work within, you'll understand that, hey, spending an extra 10 or 20 minutes in this, and maybe it gives me repeat business down the road. But great question too. Would you mind if you provide a complete plan for your entire yard? Who's going to say no to that? In my opinion, so, and it may not be their vision, but it may, spark them and say, oh, I really like what you've done here, but I might want to change this around. Maybe I don't want the wall here. I want the wall over there. And they have you come back. But great question to ask to your customer. Again, extracting that information from them and getting them to have that conversation with you. This initial meeting you have with your potential customer may take more than one time. You may end up sitting down with one of the spouses, going through this whole process of asking the questions and whatnot. And they may say, all right, hold on a minute here. You're really getting to some serious questions that I can't answer without my spouse being here, which is fine. Can we reschedule this? So just make sure you have that flexibility in your plan. You want to make sure that they're comfortable with that. And then, of course, when are you hoping to have this completed? So what's their end date? We know when the holidays come up, people want to get things done before or right after this, or actually before those holidays, or graduation season has come. Unfortunately, it won't happen this year, especially in the United States. But graduations, holidays, whatever the case may be, when are you hoping to have this complete? So you have a timeline of when, if you can actually do the project, and when that's actually going to be completed. And of course, the ultimate rule is, what price range are you hoping to stay within? So, got to talk budget, got to talk money. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. But we have to make sure we understand where our budget is and how much money we're going to be putting into this. But that's definitely a question. And sometimes it's asked. I was asked that question during my process when I was getting some work done in addition on my house, and I knew what my price range was. But hey, some homeowners, they're throwing stuff against the wall. They have no idea what things cost out there. So that's something you have to guide them down that path so they understand what those costs are and what their budget should be or where it's going to be based on their visions that you've extracted from that plan. So that's the first meeting that you're going to go. So just to kind of recap here a little bit, we want to make sure we bring our portfolio with us, sell our business. We're going to sell our company. We're going to show them the things that we offer, the services that we offer, concept designs, 3D renderings, preliminary designs. Those are the things that we offer in our initial meeting, or we're going to show them that we offer during our proposals. And then we want to extract that information from them and understand their vision of what they want. We're not going to tell them what they're looking for. We're going to make sure we understand that question. And folks, as I said before, you may be doing some of these things. Maybe you didn't have a list of questions that we have here. We're going to give you these things at the end as well. We're going to email these things out to you so you have those questions, and maybe you can interject them into your next initial meeting with your potential client. So step 2, you're planning to give them the yard of their dreams. So now we're going to talk about our initial our proposal meeting we're going to go to. So they've accepted us. They want to come back with a proposal. Who wouldn't? But please bring back your proposal to us. So we're going to go through the topics you see right here of creating that plan. You put into written design and proposal together. So here's some of the things we're going to discuss during that proposal meeting. And again, this is the information we extracted from them from that initial meeting. So estimating man hours, developing a visual representation of the site. So we're gonna get through all these things right here. So the first thing we're going to talk about when we have that proposal meeting is a list of the top 5 objectives for the site. So those are the questions that you ask of what you intend on using them for. How do you see how often you're going to use them? So here's the objectives that we're going to discuss with our potential client. And this is what we extracted from that initial meeting. And you're going to list those top 5 things. It may not be 5, but at least list out the top 5 for that site. We may have a plot plan that we were able to extract or get from the town, or you're going to just draw something up in your office. But here's what you've drawn up. Okay, so I want a raised patio. I'm going to do a proposed retaining wall, and then I want a paver patio on top of that with a little seating wall around there. So we're going to show them that layout of the yard. And review that with them to make sure this is what they're looking for and what we came up with based on that first meeting. Location of the work to be done, so that's going to be actually in that plan that we showed them, but we're going to discuss that location of the work to be done. They lay out, they're going to tell you where they want things done. That's a question I get a lot of times from contractors, or I ask contractors, who's responsible for laying out the walls or the patios or paver patios or seat walls? And it's the homeowner or the owner of the property. They're responsible for showing you where that's going to be. Now, you may end up drawing it out on the ground with upside down paint or a marker of some sort, but they're responsible for showing you where it's at. But you want to communicate that with them so you both have the understanding of where that location of the work is to be done. Developing a plan to meet your customer's needs. So is there any easement issues or homeowner association restrictions? So that's a discussion you're going to have. Hopefully you've done your homework. You can discuss that with them. Maybe you're working in a development now that you've done work in before. It's a gated community. There's a homeowner association, and you've done 5 or 6 projects in that development. And Harry at the homeowners association, and you can say, listen, I can work with him for you. Don't worry. They have no clue what they don't know the process. So you may have that ability to say, listen, I can work with them. If you hire me, I know the gentleman at the HA office, or I know I can talk to the downtown code enforcement people about getting permits here. So, or is there an easement issue? Those are the things you're going to discuss at that proposal meeting, and who's going to be responsible for what. Permitting issues, as I said before, you may have to actually, obviously you're going to get permits more times than not. You're going to need to get a permit, but who pulls that permit? Is an engineering plan required? As the contractor, you should know the requirements. Tell your homeowner, hey, this is over certain meters. It's over 3 meters. We need a permit, or 2 meters, whatever the case may be for that town you're working in. But understand that they don't understand that question or that answer. So that's something you're going to discuss with them about. So who is responsible for that plan, engineer plan, and how's it going to be taken care of? What type of project inspection is required? Does the town have to come out and check the footings? Again, as a professional, you're going to have those answers already in your pocket. Like, the homeowner won't know. So you're now removing that stress level off them, and they're really now looking at you as, well, this company's got their act together. They know what's going on here. So because you've taken the time to discuss this with them, and what is the downside of not getting a permit? So sometimes the homeowner don't want to spend the money for permit, but you may not want to go down that road because that might endanger your license if you have a license in your development or in your market. So, but that may be brought up. So make sure you have the answers for that. So again, develop a proposed layout. So here's what we're looking at. Again, using that 3D modeling tool, you're able to model this out pretty easily, and that's actually come right out of our apps that we're going to go over with today as well when Jeremy jumps on board here. But the actual layouts here that we have available, and something like this can be created quick and easy. You'll see during the presentation today the process and how easy it is using this 3D modeling tools that you can add into your catalog if you're not doing it already. So creating preliminary designs using the apps we have available, you're able to go in there and do a layout. And actually, this is for the retaining walls. Real easy to do. Again, we're going to show you that here today and how easy that is. But you are able to create those preliminary designs using our apps that are downloadable from our website. And streamline, and this is making your job more efficient during that proposal, putting that proposal together. So you're putting this proposal together, and this makes your job a lot easier to use. And of course, we have the Allan Black estimating tool as well. So with these programs that we have, when you do the output from them or printout from them, you're able to actually get different blocks of different patterns, whether it's the Ashford pattern or the Aztec block or the Europa collection. All that's done pretty easily. But with a click of a button, then you'll have the estimate for all different categories of groups out there of the different product lines we have available, the collections, as well as the courtyard as well. So real easy to navigate through these programs and be able to offer your customer choices, because that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to make sure we're giving them choices. And as I said in the very beginning, we want to give them at least 3 choices of different products. Why not spend the extra money? For 5 or 10% more, you may have a nice looking project when it's all said and done in your neighborhood. So offer that to your customers. As I say, you may be doing that already, but using these tools that we have available will help streamline that and make your job more efficient. Again, during this proposal meeting, you're going to estimate the man hours for construction and clean up on each option. Breaking down the process for your customers so they understand the process, providing expected timetable. What a great way to communicate how often you're going to be there. How do you handle certain things? And that's, if they sign you, that's something you're going to discuss, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit in the pre-construction meeting. But provide an expected timetable. Great way to remove that stress so they know exactly what's going on. Proper communication, you eliminate unreasonable expectations. So what's your expectations of a contractor and things they've had in the past? So you make sure you properly communicate everything that's going to go on with that project to that potential client, and then of course it eliminates those unreasonable expectations. And of course they understand what you are contracted to do and what they are going to do as well. So maybe they say, save you some money, I'll go to the town, I'll pull the permits myself, or I have an engineer neighbor that's an engineer and I can go ahead and get the engineering done for a little bit cheaper. So that's something you're going to discuss during this proposal meeting, if this is something we're moving forward with. And then you're going to go in that pre-construction meeting and go through the checklist here. Okay, you said this and I'm going to do this, you said that, I'm going to do that. And we have that scope of work document that we're going to show you here shortly too, of how that's manageable. So developing that visual representation of the site. So you're going to offer them a couple different choices. As I said before, with the tools that we have available, you're going to offer them different choices so they can pick from. Spend an extra 15 or 20% or 10 to 15% more on the project, and they're able to give them more choices so they have the best looking project on the street when it's all said and done. Provide examples of products that may be selected. So using our custom catalog builders and our residential submittal builders, you can create that catalog with their thoughts and ideas that they want, so they can see what it's going to look like when it's going to be done. It may not be their particular backyard, but you can see what the project may look like when it's all said and done. But again, you want to provide examples of products that they may select from. So we want to give them at least 3 choices, as I've been saying here throughout the presentation so far. Drafting a proposal to file the explanations based on the different products choices and different options. So with that estimating tools we have, just with a click of a button, you can get the material takeoffs for all different collections of our products out there. Really helps make it easier for you and streamline your work. Present challenges for executing the plan. So approval from the homeowners association, store material on site, transporting material back to the back of the house if their work is being done in the back of the house. Maybe we can use a neighbor to gain access to your yard and get the project done before the weather changes. So these are things that you want to present to them and talk to them about ahead of time during that proposal meeting, and of course during the pre-construction meeting. So this, you explain to them, this is how we do things during that proposal meeting, and then once we get into that pre-construction meeting, we're going to actually set our goals and what this is actually how we're going to execute our plan. Present timetable for each option, so the ordering and securing material, site preparation, and construction of the project. So we want to make sure they understand that process as well too. So we're going to develop a timeline for them and show them how things are going to get done. And of course, present costs for each selection too as well. So we're going to make sure they understand what things cost for each different product selection or collection that we're offering to them, whether it's pavers, the landscaping material you're going to use out there, retaining walls or seat walls, whatever the case may be. But make sure they understand the cost for each material. Is there different site prep for different collections? Not necessarily. It's all installed the same way. And then of course the final development construction for the site. So that was our proposal meeting. Again, we're going to go through all those questions that we extracted from them, answer those questions that we extracted to them from that initial meeting we had, show them some choices, and then, of course, move on. So now they're going to actually, they said, okay, let's move forward. We're going to actually go ahead and we want to use you folks as our contractor. We're now going to take that plan we put together here, and we're going to put it into action, and we're going to create that pre-construction meeting that we want. And that's very important part of the process here is hosting that pre-construction meeting, regardless if it's a commercial site or if it's a residential site. They both have they're both entitled to that pre-construction meeting. And of course, this is where we're going to lay everything out and talk about who's responsible for what and what's going to get done. So what are you going to cover in your pre-construction meeting? So here's a punch list of things we're going to cover. We're going to drill down a little deeper into each one of them, but this is the things you're going to cover in these pre-construction meetings. And some of the booklets, hopefully folks have seen them in the past, our commercial install guide and our spec book. We have a whole list of questions there too that can help you facilitate these pre-construction meetings, but we're going to talk about them here a little more in depth. Gets right on through here. So our pre-construction meeting right here. So it's a written proposal, work agreement with on the terms and conditions in writing. So we're going to make sure everything we have is in writing here. So and we're going to review that with our client now. If they've signed the paperwork, we're moving forward with them. Credentials of who's going to be working on their project. So you may or may not know, but we do have the ability to build a resume. Those of you who have gone through the certification workshop and you've actually talked to your sales rep, which would be Bruce, and you've been rewarded with projects. Well, every time you tell us what project you have, we're inputting in a database, and we have the ability to print this out for you. So you have a nice resume of everything that's been done. And you may have a crew of people on site. It may not be everybody, but you as the owner, and then of course your foreman, and you may have a couple of apprentices on site there. So maybe they haven't gone through the certification program yet, but those that have, you can actually easily print this out, ask Bruce to get that over to you. It comes in a nice professional PDF format, and it shows you all the projects that's been done and when you were certified and what levels of certification you have. So, and you want to show that to them. Here's here's going to be who's on site here. So, real nice way of presenting your company to them. Warranty. If you're going to offer a warranty, that's going to be discussed during our pre-construction meeting. Again, that's the company. It's up to your company how you guys handle that stuff, but make sure it's talked about because it might be a question that comes up. So if you offer a warranty, make sure it's something you talk to them about that you can discuss with them. Project location and scope of work. So this is where we're going to get into where actually we're going to put this project or put the material at. So this is what we don't want to talk about here, where the location of the project is going to be in the yard. And then, of course, who is responsible for the scope of work? So who's going to be doing what? We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a few minutes. But that scope of work document we have available for you is a great tool to use. So you're checking off who's responsible for what. And it's something that's downloadable for you from our website. And Jeremy's going to get into that a little bit more as we get into the skill set portions here. Material type and final selection. So we offered them those three choices, and they've come up with a final selection of what they wanted. So we want to discuss that during the pre-construction meeting. Who's going to be, not who's going to be, but what's going to be used on this site here. And we check that off on in our box there that we know, and they're signing off on it, that they know this is what they've chosen, and they've actually, so we know what material we're picking and what color we're going to pick as well. So here's a few choices of colors that we have available. We want to make sure that they have checked off and signed off what color we're going to use in this process. Detailed review of what will be done by the contractor and what the homeowner decides to self-perform and how change orders are handled. So that's something we had to discuss during the pre-construction meeting too. So what are they going to do? Are they pulling the permits? They may say, we're going to take the fence down so you can get access to our backyard. Again, that's all stuff that needs to be talked about ahead of time during the pre-construction meeting. Who's responsible for what? And then, of course, during the process, they may say, I want to add another course, or I want to, extend my patio out. I like what I see here so far. So how are change orders done? And how does that communicate with one another? So is there addendum to the contract? Is another contract drawn up? But those are the things that you want to discuss during the pre-construction meeting. And project start date, obviously. That's something you folks will decide together when that's going to be done. Weather does affect that, obviously, on site there. So how do you handle weather delays? That's something else you want to talk about, too. How do we handle weather delays? Do you give us a call? Do we call you, let you know, what's going on, or you just not show up? I've seen that before. I've heard that complaint from homeowners out there. I've gotten calls when I recommended contractors out there, and all of a sudden they're not showing up anymore, and I get the phone call when I was in sales in the United States. And I'd call the contractor up, what's going on, So you want to make sure you communicate that with your client. Here's how we handle weather delays. If it's raining when we wake up, we're not going to come on site because we can't tear the yard up, or, we're going to give you a phone call, whatever the case may be. But obviously start date too. When is that start date going to happen? So we want to make sure that's communicated with them during this pre-construction meeting as well. Estimated number of work days expected on site each day. How many people are going to be on site? What's the roles and responsibilities for each person, and that's discussed too with that resume we talked about in the beginning. So your foreman, he's overseeing the site. He may be running 2 jobs or 3 jobs at a time, and then you're going to have Jim, John, and Jerry on the site there. They're going to be handling the footings and foundations, and they're going to be installing pavers. But expect the number of days and how many folks are going to be on site. So again, it's not, we're not going to hold that in stone because things can come up and happen. But having that communication with the homeowner, again, ultimately we're removing that stress level from them that is created when they have work done at a site. Estimated completion date. So again, it's just estimated, but again, that's a thing you want to discuss with them and let them know that this is when we expect to be done. This is how long. Footing's going to take 2 days. The base course is going to take this many days. Laying the pavers down, is going to take this many days. So all that, based on the experience you've done in the past, you understand how many days. If they don't know that stuff, that's why you're going to have that discussion with them during this pre-construction meeting. And ultimately, we get down to money. What are we talking about here? What deposits are required to begin the work? So that's discussed during that pre-construction meeting as well. How much is done up front, and I'm sure everybody's doing this already, but just wanted to put this in there because that should be part of that pre-construction meeting. Do you offer lien waivers provided at the end of the job? So we want to get a lien waiver done at the end of the job. So that may be something that's been put up front there. You don't want anything done leaned against you or you against them. So that should be part of that discussion too as well. And then, of course, our final walkthrough with detailed punch lists developed with schedule remediation for completion of work. So we want to make sure that we review everything again. We understand what's going on, and then if there's an issue once it's all said and done, maybe we have a little settlement once done. So what's the remediation for that, and when's that work going to be completed? So are we going to come back and check on that 6 months down the road or 30 days down the road? We discuss that with them as well. So once the project's done, what's the follow-up? Expectations for project management, job safety, job site daily cleanup standards, work hours, and outdoor signage. So all those things should be discussed at that pre-construction meeting as well too. So how do they handle lunch breaks, restroom facilities? I mean, a big thing, cleanup at the end of each day. Can I put a sign out in front of your yard? So if that's not discussed on the front end, and all of a sudden you plant a sign out front, job being completed by ABC Contracting, that may be something they don't want. That's something that needs to be discussed. Is okay, we put a sign out front with our phone number while we're doing work here. What kind of breaks do these guys take during the day? How many hours are going to be on site each day? So all this, communicating that with your homeowner and your client has to take place. So resume of projects completed to date. That's something you're also going to do in that initial meeting as well. You're going to go over that resume of projects you have. But again, that might be something you want to see here during the pre-construction meeting. So if they have any questions on it at all, that's part of that pre-construction meeting too. But initially, I'd want to see that on the front end as well. Here's a list of projects we've done. And we can do that right from our website, from our what we call ABGO. It's a customer relations management tool that we have. And your sales rep, Bruce, who does a fantastic job, he can get those resumes for you if you've actually told him about projects you've done in the past after that certification program. But here's that resume of projects and the completed dates that we have out there. Maybe you want to have them write a letter of recommendation for you, all said and done too. So that might be asked during that pre-construction meeting. Hey, when this is all said and done, would you mind writing me a letter of recommendation as well? So what a great thing to add to your portfolio for your next potential customer. So, hey, just got done with your neighbor down the street. You may, you know as well as I do, when you're doing a lot of projects out there in the neighborhood, you might get a lot of site there, and then you might, get a call. Hey, I see you doing work down the street. Can you come down and give me a proposal for my project as well? So, but having that letter of recommendations all said and done is nice to have. And you talk about what insurance and contract license you have. Just make sure they understand that you have that insurance that you're carrying for site, so they understand that as well. But that's something you need to talk about. So follow-up. Data return 6 months after completion on site. to answer any questions relative to final project and performance. So a lot of folks aren't doing that out there, and I understand there's a cost to that, but you're going to add that into your final number, in my opinion. But tell them you're going to come back in 6 months and review the project and make sure there's no problems. I'm sure you'll get a phone call if they haven't, if there is an issue on site there for that 6 months. They're not going to wait 6 months to have you come back. But that's something that you can put in there. Say, hey, in 6 months I'll come back by. And at that point, if you actually have developed a full conceptual plan for their yard and you only did a portion of it, that might be a great time to discuss. Hey, what do you think about moving on, doing some more work back here? We did what we did so far, but we talked about maybe doing some more. Could generate that repeat business. But great thing to have as part of your package that you're going to follow up in 6 months with them. And it may just be a phone call too if you haven't heard from them. If they haven't called you, there's nothing wrong with anything on site. But they are great to hear from you in 6 months. So let them know that you want to do that. So we're going to transition to some of the tools we have available here. And I'm just going to kind of do a brief overview with them, and then actually have Jeremy jump on here in a couple minutes. So he's going to go through the actual tools themselves. You'll see how easy they are to use, but we're going to get right into them right now here. So I talked about this a little bit at the very beginning. So that contract certification program we have and the different levels of certification, it's been really successful. Hopefully you've all taken advantage of that. If not, please join Bruce at some point in time with one of his workshops. But what a great program we've put together out there. And of course, the different levels of certification that we have available for you. Just stand by here 1 second here. Sorry about that. Just letting Jeremy know to get ready because he's going to be coming on board here in a second. So again, getting back to the different levels of certification and project resume. So once you go through that certification level, as I've spoken about here throughout the presentation so far, every time you tell us about a project, we're inputting that into our system, and we're able to provide you that beautiful resume that we've built up. It's really professional looking. So again, if you haven't seen that yet, get a hold of Bruce or whoever your sales rep is, and have them get you a copy of that over there, so you can start adding that to your portfolio for future, presentations or projects that you have coming up that you can show your potential client. Another great tool we have is the Design Ideas book. Customers may have no idea what they're looking for, and this is a nice catalog that we put together, and it's just a picture book, and that's what homeowners love, just pictures. They want to see pictures. So this catalog, if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, we try to update it almost every year. And if you do have projects out there, folks, send them to us. We'd love to put them in this book. What a better way to promote your company than to have your picture in our Design Ideas catalog. But a nice way to show your customers different ideas that are available out there. Patio packages. Homeowner may not have any idea what they're looking for. So we've developed these things called patio packages, and then we have 12 different ones out there that have different layouts. They're to a certain size, 12 by 19, but it tells you the pavers that you need for underneath it, and we have different layouts of each one. So some have grilling stations, some seats, some pillars, but you can show this to your potential customer. Say, here's some ideas if they have no idea. That helps you sell quicker. How many times have you been working, or if you have, I know I have worked at a home show and a homeowner walks by and goes, this is exactly what I want in my backyard. Well, that's kind of the concept behind the patio packages. So, have that in your portfolio during that initial meeting. If they have no idea, say, hey, well, here's some ideas of layouts that we have that we can customize for you, or we can actually build into what specifications are right here. Help you sell better. So, Bruce wants to get unmuted. Let me see here, Bruce. Hang on 1 second here. You there?
Hey, how are you?
Good, Bruce. How you doing?
I just wanted to say, just jump in for a sec. Say, just thanks again for the guys out there that have joined us. And this the way you've run through this, you really had I'm going to say a speedy but very detailed process. And this is something that I know I know my experience in doing this, going out to see people, and it's basically every time I went out to see somebody else early in my career, I would tick off a box and say, "Oh, I just learned something new, another question I should have asked." And so I guess what I look at with the way you put this together, Donnie, is kind of not working through things trial and error, but kind of expedited learning and putting some of these things into your presentation with the client, and from the initial meeting through to developing a proposal. How do you become how do you have that much more of a professional approach to it? And I just want you guys to know that this is how I got started in the business. So please reach out to me locally. I'm more than happy to go through all the details with you, meet on site. I'm very familiar with confidentiality and meeting with clients and being calm and cool out there when you're trying to establish that relationship with them. So and to me, that's really the number one thing, is that you're developing a relationship with these people and a trust, and it's the ability to get to that trust level, which then the things that develops into is could be referrals, and could be more work, and a tremendous amount of additional opportunity when you work on developing that trust in a professional manner. So I think that's the intent of this program, is giving you approaches that I'm sure that for the most part everyone is following these types of steps in some way or another, but giving you more ideas and ability to differentiate yourself from the next guy, to earn yourself more business and have a more profitable career.
Well said, Bruce. Yeah, the approach that we put together here, Bruce. I'm going to mute you for one more second because I'm getting backbeat from you. So the reason we put this together, we want a more professional approach, or we're hopefully we're showing that to you. And again, you folks most likely are doing this, but we're going to get into the meat and potatoes here too, as far as the tools that we have available. Which, if you may be familiar with them, great. If you're not, you're really going to be blown away how easy these tools are, and how easy it is to actually help you be more proficient and efficient in your development of your proposals. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that a little bit more, Bruce. I've actually unmuted you again if you're there.
And then I agree with you. I mean, it's now stepping into not just saying it, be professional, look professional. It's now, here's the resources that are easy to work with to prove it. It's the guy who it's an amazing thing, and you're putting on your sales hat when you're out with people, and it's amazing what happens when you ask the next question, and you listen for the answer, and you show the next example, and you you never know what someone is gonna, you measure their excitement level of what's next, and it's your opportunity to take advantage, and that's, so I agree with you. Meat and potatoes of you can talk all you want, but when you dive in and you start using these resources, using these tools, it's like it creates that wow factor on with.
Yeah, well said, Bruce. Well said. So I'm going to go through just the highlights of these tools right here, and I'll have Jeremy jump online here in a couple minutes, and we'll start rolling right through those as well. So you're right, Bruce. I know I went probably a little faster than I should have. Normally, like I said, normally this is in a crowded room with some people, and there's some conversations going back and forth, slows you down a little bit. So I apologize if I was going a little faster than I should have. My apologies.
Well, we've got everyone should have either an email copy of the presentation or a copy in front of them. And you know, I was following along, just writing notes in as we went, and always you know, learning something as we go. And I think I wrote a note right from the get-go is you know, have a bit of a script that that you're following through the initial meeting. You know, who are you? What are you going to do for them? You know, really help develop trust. And then the experience side, you know, you show your experience when you're asking questions, and that's you know, that's a big part of it. You know, you know, and I think that even if you turned and you put on the other side of the hat, and you put yourself in a position of having someone come to your home, say do a bathroom reno, you know, you can tell you know how they treat the environment. Are they a professional? And this can also be, this can be part of your learning, is you can reach into other industries and see what did you like. And I know that one of my early on experiences was with my realtor, and he came in and he just it was just such a professional presentation that I've referred him to I don't know how many people you know, over the years. But yes, he helped me, and he's helped me get in and out of a few other real estate deals. And it's you know, it's once you're in the trust, you're the trusted advisor. And you know, then and then it's you know, people do refer you, and they do come to you for advice and things like that. So you know, this is one of the questions that I always I like what you referred to about issues or concern on other with other contractors or other projects. And I hate to say it, but there's been a few people where I've met over the years, and I've ended up you ask them, you know, do you normally, you know, what are the issues with other contractors? And oh, well, this guy did this, and this guy did that, and this guy did this, and then next thing you know, you're saying, oh, well, I think my best advice to myself on this one is to run. Or you're going to be walking into a world of trouble. You'll never satisfy this person. So managing sometimes, you know, can you satisfy that kind of client? You got to also be truthful to yourself, or are they just going to be a total vacuum, a total consumer of all of your energy, and always be phoning you? And we know that there's customers like that out there. So you know, knowing the process of construction, recognizing that people are going to be freaked out when the equipment shows up and the materials show up and they're left on the front street, and then the bobcat runs over the grass and tears the grass up. And I mean, managing those expectations with people of how it's like, this is the process. This is how we're going to do it. And yes, we're going to minimize, but you know, the reality is that that things are going to get disturbed, and how you're going to manage it. So, you know, I agree that it's not a, you know, there's no one size fits all, but you're trying to cover off as much as you can. And the visuals of the tools that I think we're about to jump into play a huge role. And the way Allan Block has developed the tools, you know, the 3D, you know, to me, a 3D model can also be your quality control. You develop a plan, you say, this is what it should look like. You educate your guys on site with, that's what it should look like. They go build it. You hold it up after it's built with the homeowner and said, this kind of looks like the model, right? And check, you're away to the races. Or if there was a change, then you can, you know, you can say, okay, well, we remember we made that change. You agreed and to pay. for that change. We agreed to that change. So the modeling to me is not only a visual for the client, helping them to really see what you're going to propose. It's also for the for your guys on site to stand back and say, look, yeah, this is what it was supposed to look like. We've done all the processes correctly, the construction methodology, we've done all that correct. But this is, this looks pretty darn much like the rendering that we came up with and agreed to. So, Donnie?
Good. Yes, thank you, Bruce. Thank you. I'm going to mute you just for the time being right now. We're just going to highlight the tools we have here. Jeremy's actually online here now. He's going to be getting ready to present here in a second. But going back to the patio packages, we talked about them. The residential submittal builder tool. That's something, folks, that's available right on our website. Jeremy's going to actually walk you through that. But this is a great add-on to your package when you are submitting this to the town and or working with when you're in that pre-construction meeting. So they've decided on something, and here's your submittal package to them so they understand what they're getting. Custom catalog tool, too. As I said, that's available right on our website as well. But if the homeowner knows or doesn't know what they're looking for, or they have ideas what they want, you can go ahead and build that catalog and send that over to them via email. It's a real nice PDF for them once they get it in their email box, and it's customized for what they may be getting done at their project. Obviously, it's not their house in that picture, but it's going to show them what it's going to look like. So what a great tool that's available for you at your fingertips, and it's right on our website. So you always have access to that. And allanblock.com itself, whole host of information. We have 2,000 pages of information there, and then, of course, all these videos. We do now also have, and it's not in the picture here, but we have up in the top left-hand corner here above where it says Contractor, a Contractor resources page for you folks now, too. And in there, there's a whole host of information about this particular presentation we're doing here today. But also in there, we have our upcoming webinars we have listed, and we have a lot of information in there, a lot of videos in there from on-demand stuff that's been presented in the past. So if you've missed something that you want to see, there is a whole host of videos in there for you to take a look at, to review at your leisure, at lunchtime or in the evening. But allanblock.com, great resource for you as well. Retaining walls by Allan Block, a nice brochure we have available for the residential installation. Great to leave behind for your customers so they understand the process that you're going to be going through when you're installing these retaining walls. I know you're going to follow suit to what's supposed to be done in the proper construction methods because you've been through our certification workshop, but the homeowners haven't. So this is a nice catalog you can pass along to them as well. A lot of pictures in there too, again. So project ideas as well as that design ideas book. Same thing with the courtyard wall book we have as well. We get involved in the installation process with that as well, but we talk about those patio packages in there too. So again, just another resource that we have available for you. And Bruce has all this stuff available for you in hard copy, but it's also available downloadable from our website. So if you want to just forward it on, everybody's doing things electronically nowadays. So if you wanted to forward this on to your potential client and or your customer that you're working for now, you're able to do that right from our website. The retaining wall app, Jeremy's going to get involved in this here to show you how nice and easy this is. But right from this program, right from this retaining wall app, you can just develop those 3D renderings, and you don't have to go. It's already modeled for you by just going here and hitting a couple buttons in this program. And I say that very easily. That's just a couple buttons, but the process is pretty simple once you understand how the program works. But once it's all said and done, you have a 3D rendering that you can add on to and add those plants and stuff like that. And again, Jeremy's going to walk you through this here in a few minutes. But same thing with the courtyard app. Very simple too. If they don't want that patio package and wants to be a certain size, you have that ability to manipulate that right in here and build what they're looking for. And a nice feature with the courtyard app is to, however big that patio is that you're building upon, we give you the paver information right underneath it as well. So you know how many square foot of pavers you need to for that project as well. And of course, Bruce talked about this a little bit before, and I have mentioned it throughout the presentation here today, but the 3D modeling tool. Couldn't be happier with this program that was developed by the gentleman that's going to be coming online here too. Jeremy, and another gentleman in our office. But what a great, powerful tool for you folks to use out there to show that visualization to your customer. And you know, your competition out there may not have this, and you do have this in your pocket now. So and for the best part of it, it's free. So just putting your time and learn how to use it. That's all. That's the only thing you got to do. We've had a lot of people go through our workshops here over the past few months, learning how to use this tool. And I if you haven't done it, I encourage you to actually get more involved in it. But we'll talk about that here shortly as well. And then the estimating tool, plenty gives you choices of all the different materials and the different collections we have available out there. So that makes it nice and easy for you to offer your clients those three choices, or however many choices you want to offer them from the different collections that we have available. And this is something that's available for our production partners and our sales team, the retaining wall quote and ordering document. So, Bruce, that's something you may or may not have. If you do have it, great. If not, talk to Jerry. She can customize it for you. But we can put your most popular pavers on there and any other items as well. And, of course, the retaining wall products in there as well. And that's something that you guys can use out there when ordering product. Streamlines that ordering process. You can just email this off to the dispatcher or to Bruce. I don't know the process of how you folks do ordering up there, but this is something else that we have available for you, and it's customizable for your market. And then lastly, right here, we have what's called our scope of work and contract document. I am sure you folks are using contracts out there, but we have this document available, and it's on that contractor resources page too. But that scope of work document, Jeremy's going to get a little bit further into it. This is that check, that list that you check those boxes of who's responsible for what on site. And then it ties right into a contract too. So this may be something that if you don't have a contract or you're working off one, you might want to take a look at it, and you may want to expand upon it by some of the editable details we put in there in that contract side. But on the scope of work side, that's something you want to tie into your current contract if you have one that's pretty ironclad. So this will show you, and all this is editable in your own facet, so you can take it and move things around as much as you want. But this is something that's already on our website that you can download as well. So with that, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to, Jeremy, I'm going to make you the presenter. Are you there?
Yep, you guys should be able to hear me right now.
Yep, and I want to make you the presenter right now. So, folks, we're going to transition to our skill set portion here. We're going to work, and Jeremy's going to take over the presentation here. So, hang on one second.
Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen?
I can see it, Jeremy. Yeah, and I can hear you perfectly. Yep.
Sounds good. So we're just going to get right into it?
Yeah, so I'm going to check with Bruce to make sure he can see it because he's not in there. Bruce, can you can see Jeremy's screen, correct?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Welcome, Jeremy.
Okay.
Bruce.
All right. I'll mute him. I'll mute him right now. So take it away, Jeremy. I'm gonna mute myself for the time being.
Sounds good. So my name is Jeremy Zeiss. I'm one of the engineers here at Allan Block, and I've had the pleasure of working on a lot of these tools that Allan Block provides that we're going to kind of go over right now. You saw them mention a few of the tools already, and we're just kind of going to go through all the different ones available to you step by step. So starting off, we are going to talk about really kind of an overview of what this presentation is going to be. This session is basically going to walk through our AB residential submittal builder and our custom catalogs. So again, like Don said, those are going to be great for creating some custom product packages to give to your customers. Then we're going to jump into two of our tools that are available on the Allan Block website, free for you to download. That's going to be the retaining wall app and the courtyard app for designing and estimating retaining walls under 6 feet, and courtyard patios, or patios I should say, using our courtyard product as seating walls. Then we're going to jump into our estimating tool where you can take some of what you got back from those design tools and really get a very quality quantity estimate out for multiple parts of your project. Then we're going to jump into one of our more unique tools that we have available called the scope of work document, and that's really just going to be kind of like a roadmap where you use it to set expectations for any projects that you're working on, to give your customers some transparency, and really get them comfortable with you working on the project. And then finally, we'll end things out with the AB 3D modeling tool in SketchUp. So that's kind of going to be the best visualization tool you can use. Bruce talked about it a little bit right there, and how 3D models can be used to really sell more projects and get your customers to commit to those projects sooner on in the process. But getting started, we're going to jump right into the residential submittal builder and the custom catalog. So both of these tools are available right on the Allan Block website. So from our homepage, you'll see right down here we've got this portion that says Custom Catalog and Submittal Builder. Now, we'll go ahead and do this live here, and all we're going to do is jump into Custom Catalog and Submittal Builder. You'll see we have options for interactive and easy to use. So we're going to start with the residential submittal builder. I'm going to go ahead and enter into here, and it's going to ask me for my name and a zip code. Now, I put that zip code in, and that's going to kind of narrow down who my producer is or who's making my block. So it's very important to put in the correct zip code there. But once I have that information in, I go ahead and click Go. And very simple layout. It's going to take us to a web page where basically any products that we're interested in, we're just going to go ahead and check the box by them. And we just cycle through maybe some courtyard and some grid. Or let's do wall drain pro. And once we have the selections picked that we want to add into our packet, we go ahead and click Next. Now we go ahead and put our email in. And we build our submittal. Now, our submittal got sent in, and basically we're going to get an email back. And that email back is going to contain a PDF. That PDF is going to look very similar to this. So for each product we selected, it's going to have a cover page for the product. So this is the Ashlar Blend pattern walls sheet. It's going to have that cover page, a description of the blocks. It's going to have some design information, and it's also going to have colors that are specific to your location. So that's why putting in the zip code is so important, because it's going to allow you to see the colors that are actually available to you and being produced in your area. So again, we've got a different product here. We chose Aztec for this one. Again, color choices in there. And then we've got our Abbey Blend pattern walls here with the colors for that as well. Now in this example that I have here, I also put in courtyard, our AB reinforcement grid, and it looks like that's all I put in for this example here. So basically what you're getting is product sheets for each of the things that you selected. Now, I'm going to jump back into the presentation, and like I said, we'll get those product sheets back, and now we can move on to the custom catalogs option. So the custom catalog option, again from our website, you just go into custom catalog builder, we enter in here. I can go ahead and put my name again and my zip code. Oops. And I can go ahead and click Go. It's going to take you into the custom catalog page, and basically we can choose retaining walls or patio walls. We can jump in. I'm going to choose retaining walls, and you can jump through the different tabs here. So we've got design ideas. Maybe I want to add in some pictures of some lighting, because that's something that I think that my customer might want to get. So I come in here and I click Add to Custom Catalog, and that's basically going to add it into the PDF documents that I get. Now, once I do all of that, I can go through here and add more things to the custom catalogs. I can switch to patio walls and add some information about our courtyard product. And basically, once I have everything in there that I want to provide to my customer in this fully designed packet, I go ahead and click Complete Your Catalog. Again, I just type in my email, and I click Submit. I'm going to get that confirmation, and I'm going to get an email again with a PDF attached. Now, in the custom catalog PDF, it's going to look very similar. We're going to have that professional looking cover page. Oops, I'm going to jump up to the top. So that cover page, this one's a little more focused on the design and the visual aspect to give your customers ideas of projects that they might be interested in. Now you can see we've got some information about our books available to them. And then we start getting into our products that we selected. So we chose our AB collection. And again, based on the zip code we put in, it'll add in the colors that are available to that customer in that area. We'll get some information about each of the blocks in the collection. Colors again. So now courtyard product, we added some courtyard information in here. And basically, again, for each product that you think your customer might be interested in, you just go ahead and click on that option, and it's going to include projects using that product. It's going to include colors available to them, and it's all going to be fully formatted, so you don't have to waste time trying to format something that's professional enough to give to your customers. So really, why use the residential submittal tool in the custom catalog builder? Well, there's a few main reasons. The first thing is that it's going to be an amazing tool to get customers to be able to, get in their hands a professional-looking packet of all the products available to them. So when they've got a project in mind, one of the first questions they have to answer is, what do we want it to look like? What kind of product do we want to use? And these tools are going to be great for giving them basically a PDF packet of pictures and information about each of the products and other projects designed with them. So it gets them excited early on, shows them some examples of what they can expect moving forward. Now it's also going to show them the specific colors available to them, so we're not going to show them colors that aren't available. Those product sheets are updated pretty often for each of our manufacturers. So Expo Crete there gets us, anytime they have a new color that they're producing, they let us know and we update those colors. It's also able to really create a very custom looking output. So if I have two customers who want two completely different things, it's very easy for me to create a separate submittal for each different customer. Because like you saw, we got to check each box for the things that we wanted. And of course, the things that we didn't want, we don't have to check, and that won't show up in our packet. So you can make it custom for each customer. And then lastly, like I said, that professional formatting is really going to save you a lot of time on creating something that you're able to give to a customer without feeling like you just threw some stuff together. But you saw how in just a few clicks with both of those tools, we're able to get those very professional looking packets that you can give right to your customers. Now we're going to jump into those other tools on our website that we mentioned. So that's the Allan Block Retaining Wall app and the Allan Block Courtyard app. Both of those are available on our website too for download. So if you go back to the Allan Block website, basically if you jump into this estimating portion right here, you'll see that we've got our retaining wall app and our courtyard app available for download. So we can jump into there to download them. And once we actually get into the apps, we'll start with the retaining wall app. You'll see it'll look something like this. Basically, what we want to do is focus on this create your own wall. When I click on that option, it's going to come up with a grid. Now that grid is going to basically be made up of 3-foot by 3-foot boxes. And all I have to do is click a few points on our grid, and it's going to connect them with a line. And what we're doing here on this first page is we're creating a bird's eye view of our retaining wall. So you can see here, if I go through a few times, I've got a zigzag wall here. Now, if I needed to fine tune where those points are, I can come in here and click this XY button and type in the coordinates for each of those points. So you can see the coordinates numbered along the sides here. That first point I want to put at 9 in the X and 6 in the Y. And then I can cycle to my next point, make it at 54 and 45. My next one, I can go ahead and type in 6 again, and we'll go 97. And then our last point is going to be 150 and 48. And once I have those coordinates put in, all I have to do is click close, and you'll see the points snap into place.
And
so
Jeremy,
yep.
Just show them how you can convert this to metric as well. So, because I know we're doing it in feet here, but you're able to actually convert this to metric if we need it.
Yep, exactly. So right now, like I said, our grids are in 3 foot by 3 foot. If I needed to switch that into meters, I just have to click this ruler button, and that's going to change our units into meters. So now they're 1 meter by 1 meter boxes, and it'll obviously shift it a little because the conversion isn't perfect, but we can go ahead and put in those X and Y coordinates just like before. Now, once we move to the next page, for each of those 4 points, basically, we're going to choose the number of courses at each of those points. So we had 4 points in our wall that we put in. All I have to do is click on the Z button, and that's going to allow me to raise my top of wall, lower my top of wall, raise my bottom of wall, or lower my bottom of wall. And basically, I can go through each point, and I can shift what my wall looks like here. And what I did there is I only changed the top of my wall, but you can see the number of courses at each of those points. So we start off our wall at 2 courses, we move up to 5 courses, and then we drop down back to 2 courses. Now again, if I needed to change that into metric, I just have to click the ruler, and that'll change it into meters. Now, once I have my elevation set the way I want, I can go ahead and click the green arrow, and it's going to ask me for my above wall considerations. So if the area above my wall is flat, I go ahead and choose that top option. If there's a slope above my retaining wall, I can choose that. And if I've got any surcharges above, like a patio or a driveway, anything like that, then I would want to go ahead and choose a surcharge above our wall. But once I choose my above wall consideration, I go ahead and I click the green arrow, and I can choose my soils. Now, if you ever aren't sure of your soils, go ahead and click clay soils, and then move to the next screen. And what you're going to see is it's going to automatically turn your mitered corners, or basically any of your corners, into curves. Now, the reason that we have that in there is that really in any chance we get, we want to change all of our mitered corners into curves. Also, there's a lot of homeowners that use this app to get a good idea of retaining walls for their own backyard or space. And we didn't want to have them have to deal with any cut block or really any of the potential issues that can come out of building a wall with corners or cut corners in it without having the knowledge of how to do that. So we tried to keep it very easy for a homeowner, basically easy for anyone. We also like the stability that curved walls give, so we always encourage that as well. But basically, if you're happy with the design, you can go ahead and click the green arrow to move to the next screen. And you just type in your email, your zip code, and we want to make sure that we have this send me a SketchUp file of my project is selected. That'll send us a file that we can open up in our 3D modeling tool that we'll show a little later to provide our customer with a 3D model of the retaining wall design. So that's going to be very important. But once we click free design packet, we'll get a confirmation. And basically what we're going to get is a few different things. So we're going to get 2 emails. That first email is going to contain what's called a Ruby script. That Ruby script is what we use for our AB 3D modeling tool. Now, we're just going to want to save that somewhere on our computer that we'll remember where it is. The other thing that we're going to get is a PDF, and that PDF is going to be our output of the project we designed. So this is one that I did before, but basically, again, it's going to be a pre-formatted, professional-looking cover page. We're going to get a plan view of our retaining wall that we designed. We're going to get an elevation view that shows grid locations as well. We're going to get cross sections that line up with the parameters that we set for our retaining wall. And we're going to get estimates. Now, the cool thing about the estimates is that within the packet, you're going to have for the wall you designed, you're going to have an estimate using every different type of block we have available. So in one design, you submit it once, inside of that PDF, you're going to get an estimate for our AB Classics, you'll get an estimate for an AB Ashlar pattern, and you'll get an estimate for our AB Aztec. Basically, all of our products are all in there as an estimate, and you can pick and choose and pull out the ones that you don't want to provide to your customer. But the nice thing about providing estimates of all of the different block types in there is that we don't have to go back and create that project again using a different product. We just get one packet that has all of the information in it. And you can see how in-depth these estimates are. We've got our total wall height, number of courses, and it shows us the number of blocks we need. In those patterned walls, it also shows us the number of each different block we'll need. And then on top of that, it'll also show the amount of grid, the amount of base rock, the amount of wall rock, and infill soil in the retaining wall. So very comprehensive, full of information really, and it's just a great way to get those estimates. So that retaining wall app, the main reasons to use it are really going to be, one, that you get that professional looking output. So that's something you're going to hear me say a lot, but really that's what saves us a ton of time. And that's what allows us to save you a ton of time when you're using these tools. We have it set in there so that it already makes it very professional. So you don't have to spend the time pulling together and formatting a document and taking all of this time to provide something to one customer. With these tools in the retaining wall app, you guys saw how fast I designed that project in there. I can do that for a customer in just a couple minutes and get a very professional looking packet. Now, with the different estimates that it provides, we're going to not only get a preliminary estimate of the wall, but a preliminary estimate of each of the products. So that's going to save us a lot of time because we get more of those options without any more work. So we don't have to go back and recreate that project over and over using different products. And then lastly, it's going to be great visualization of the wall. So just being able to see the plan view and the elevation view is going to help a customer a ton. But also with that Ruby script that we get back that we'll use in the 3D modeling tool, it opens up the opportunity to provide an even more in-depth visualization tool. So that's the retaining wall app, and now we're going to jump into the Courtyard app. Now the Courtyard app is going to look very similar here. Basically, what we're going to do is, I'll go ahead and run through it in person here as well. We're going to focus on this create your own patio option in the top corner. So it looks very similar to our retaining wall app. Again, we're going to stretch out our patio to whatever lengths we want. It's in English here, but again, we can always click the ruler to switch it into centimeters. But we choose our patio width and length. And once we're happy with it, we can go ahead and click the green arrow to move to the next page. Then we're going to go ahead and click on each side that we want to have a courtyard seating wall on. So at each side that has green in it means that there's a courtyard seating wall on that side, kind of acting as a boundary on that side. Now you'll see that my option here is completely enclosed, which obviously isn't very useful for a patio. But on the next page, if I click the green arrow, it's going to allow us to add openings to each side of our patio. Now, I went ahead and just chose a few random openings here. All I have to do is click on the arrow above them. We are limited to one opening per side. But what I can do is if I want to make this opening bigger, all I have to do is change the dimension of it to a larger number. So I'm just going to change this to 125 inches, and it's going to open up that side much more. But now that we've chosen the openings that we want on each side of our courtyard patio, we can go ahead and click the green arrow to go next. And you're going to see a lot of these dark blue circles. Now these dark blue circles, what that's going to do is when we click on them, it's going to cycle through the different options that we can have for that spot. So you can see the option that's getting displayed right here. So this is a normal flat split face ending of our patio seating wall. We can have a stepped end, we can have a split end, or we can have a post. So I'm going to go ahead and make a step end in this opening at the top. My corner here has a few different options. So we've got a post, we've got a corner, we've got a curve, we've got a large curve, or we've got a square fireplace or a circle fireplace. Since those don't really fit, I'm going to go ahead and stick with a corner. I'll keep this opening as posts. I can add a fireplace in the middle here if I want, but I'll leave it empty. And I'll switch this opening to a split face. And then lastly, I'll put a curve on this side. But once I have all of the options set to the way I want, I can go ahead and click the green arrow to go to the next screen. And it's going to ask me for some wall heights. So basically, what that's asking is, say I want to make this bottom wall, or this wall on my south side, I want to make that, right now it's at 3 courses or 18 inches since the product is 6 inches tall. If I want to push it up a course, I just have to click on this blue box. That's going to bring up a box that allows me to type in the number of courses I want. It was at 3 courses and I want to move it up to 4 courses, so I can do that there and click OK. And now it changes the wall height for that portion. Now I can also do the same with my posts. So obviously I want my posts a little taller than my wall, so I'm going to raise that by a course as well and push it up to 6 courses. Now, because I don't want to spend the time going around to each of these boxes and changing them individually, what I can do is in the middle here, I can click on the blue box, change that to 4 courses, and that's going to change all of my blue boxes on the project to 4 courses. I can do the same with the yellow box to change all of the posts in the project to 6 courses. And that's going to automatically set them all. But once I have the elevation or the wall heights that I want for each of these parts, I can go ahead and click the green arrow. It's going to give me a kind of preliminary block quantity estimate. And when I go to the next page, I just have to type in my email, my zip code again. And again, I want to make sure that I click this send me the files to use with SketchUp selected. That's going to send us back that Ruby script that's important for our 3D modeling tool that we'll use later. So I can go ahead and click free design packet. Again, we'll get that confirmation. And then we're going to get 2 different emails again. So just like the retaining wall app, the first email there is going to be the Ruby script that we'll use for our 3D modeling tool. The other email is going to be that PDF, which again is going to have a very professional looking cover page. It's going to have basically our plan view or that bird's eye view of our patio. It's going to have a quantity estimate. And it's going to have building tips and tricks using the Courtyard product. So this is something that you potentially wouldn't provide to your customer, but you can always pull that out and save it for yourself so that when you go on site and start building this project, you have the tips and tricks already printed off. Now, the Courtyard app has a few specialized reasons for using it as well. And again, A lot of it falls back on that professional looking output that you get in just a few minutes. So you saw how quickly we went through a courtyard design and got that professional output that we can share with the customer. Now, again, this last point and the second point, talking about visualization. So in the print off, we saw customers were able to basically see a bird's eye view of their courtyard wall. They're able to get an idea of what components are where and kind of what it'll look like from the top. And then once we bring it into SketchUp with the Ruby script, customers will be even more likely to be able to envision this in their own backyard. And that's where we're going to start selling more products, is once the customer can visualize it in their own backyard. So again, very important there. We do get the preliminary estimates for the number of blocks used. It also tells us how many blocks need to be cut, where they need to be cut, and then also our patio square footage, so we know how many pavers to get for the design. And then lastly, that building tips and tricks can be left out or can be taken with when you go to the site to start installing. So always good to hang on to that information if you haven't built with the Courtyard product before. It's just a great tool to really streamline the process of installing that product. But that takes you through the retaining wall app and the Courtyard app. Very beneficial and very really awesome tools that help you create these designs and estimates in just a few minutes. But now we're going to jump into the estimating tool. The estimating tool, if we jump back to the Allan Block website, let me just get to the website, is really going to be in that same area with the other tools. So if I go into estimating, where we saw our retaining wall and our Courtyard apps at the top of the screen, if I scroll all the way down, it takes us to our A/B estimating tool. Now we can download that for our Mac or Windows computers, and once we open it up, it's going to look something like this. So you guys should still be able to see my screen and should be able to see the estimating tool. I can go ahead and accept the disclaimer at the front, and then it's going to ask if I want to estimate out a retaining wall, a courtyard wall, or a fence project. Now I'm going to start off with the retaining wall. I want to make sure I have Contractor selected. I go ahead and click on retaining walls. Then it's going to ask me what product I want to build with. Once I click on a product, it's going to show me a picture of a project that used that block type, but I can go ahead and choose the product I want to use. Now, a cool thing about this app is that I can click on this update block and price information, and it's going to allow me to input some of the information about my specific blocks. So I can put in the exact dimensions that my producer makes them at. I can put in the cost that I charge for each of the blocks or that I'm charged. And down here, you can add in material cost as well. And with that, basically when I get a quantity estimate, it'll also give me a cost estimate. And because inside of this estimating tool, we also have an option for labor. If you look in here, we have a cost for labor for basically our base crew and our wall crew down at the bottom here. I can also put in the rates that I know my crews work at, so that we get a labor estimate too, so that I can make sure that I get a good cost estimate for my customer. But I can go ahead and put in all that information, and then all I have to do is go ahead and click back, and that'll save the information in there for this project. So if I was going to build with AB Classic or estimate out AB Classic, I go ahead and click on that, and I click on Continue. One thing you'll notice is that I have this landscape retaining wall selected. When I click Continue, that option allows me to basically choose what's above my wall. So I've got a level, surcharge, or slope above my wall. I'm going to choose level. I can choose my soils that I'm building with. That'll kind of help determine the amount of geogrid I'll need and the amount of infill soil that I need for my project. Then I can go ahead and come down here and I can choose the number of courses that I have in my retaining wall and the length that that retaining wall stretches. So if I'm building just a normal 4-course retaining wall that runs for 100 feet, I can go ahead and type that information in and click calculate. Now that's again going to give me a very professional looking output, but it's also going to have a full quantity estimate for this retaining wall as well. So very useful tool, very cool and easy to get quantity estimates. Another cool thing about it is that if I have multiple walls on the same project, I can just go ahead and click add, and it's going to add a second retaining wall. So I can come in here. Now maybe this one is 6 courses tall and it runs for 150 feet. So I just choose that. I make sure my soils are the same and I click calculate. And that's going to give me a second estimate for this second wall. Now, if the customer just needs a total estimate, you can go in here and go ahead and click on total, and that's going to combine your two estimates, and it's going to show the information for each wall. Very cool there. Very easy to just print that off and give to your customer or to submit for a bid. But if you come in here also, you can always backtrack and adjust your quantities in here too. So that just takes you back to that screen where you were able to change the amount of, or the cost for each block and the dimensions as well. So that is the retaining wall section. If I go, actually that's the landscape retaining wall section. If I go ahead and click on commercial retaining wall and jump to my next page, it's going to look a little different. So we're going to have the same top of wall, soils, and wall settings, but with this section, we're able to basically add in our stationing, our top of wall, and our grade. So what that means is that our stationing is going to be our running length of our wall. So obviously our wall is going to start off at 0 for the stationing. Our top of wall, this is going to depend on your plan, but basically if you've got a top of wall that's specified at 100 for your elevation, and your grade that is specified. So your grade is going to be where the retaining wall meets the ground. And then we'll automatically add in some buried block under that depending on the height of your wall. So my grade I'm going to say is at 95. So from grade to the top of my retaining wall is 5 feet at the start of the wall. Then at 100 feet, if our wall steps up to maybe 103 feet for our top wall and our grade stays the same, that means that it's going to evenly step up our wall between 0 and 100 feet up to the amount of block needed for a 3-foot rise in the top of our wall. So basically we're going up 4 or 5 courses here. I can go ahead and once I have my top and bottom of wall put in there, and my stationing, I can go ahead and click calculate, and that's going to put in the information for my retaining wall. So you can see it tells us our total wall height, so our highest, that's going to be the tallest height of our structure. It's going to tell us how long it is, and it's going to tell us the square footage of that as well with the full quantity estimate. If I would have put costs in there, it would give me a total cost as well. But again, I can always add a second wall in there if I need to, and I can change, we'll say that it starts here, maybe it's a terraced wall, so the top of wall starts at, we'll say 108, so we've got a 3-foot terrace on top of our last section. Oh, sorry, we'll go 103. And then at 100, it steps up again 3 courses, so we were at 103 before, so now we're at 106, and our grade is going to be at 103, and we can go ahead and click. I'm going to select use GeoGrid because it might try to make this a gravity wall, but I want to try to put GeoGrid in there just to be safe. Click calculate, and it's going to give me that second quantity estimate there for that second wall that we designed. You can see at its tallest height, it's 3.5 feet. Depending on your step ups and step downs. But again, if I need to get the full estimate for the full project, I just go ahead and click on total there, and it's going to combine my two estimates together into one overall one. So very cool. I can actually go ahead and choose view elevation, and it'll show an elevation view of my retaining wall that I just designed or estimated out. It's very cool there. So that's the retaining wall section. If I drop back in here into courtyard, it's going to be very similar, but now it's going to ask us some information on our total wall height. So I could put that in there. I'll say that it goes up 3 feet, so we've got 6 courses. I'll say 2 feet, so we've got 4 courses of our courtyard product. Oh, that's our wall length, sorry. So I'm going to move that up to maybe a 30-foot running length courtyard wall. Our wall height is going to be 4 courses. Post heights are going to be 6 courses. We'll say we've got 2 posts in the design and 1 corner. There'll be no curves. We do want caps. So once I have this wall information put in here, I just click calculate, and it's going to give me that full estimate as well. Oops. I actually have to put in some information here. So just let me go ahead, come in here. 2 posts, 1 corner, calculate. And now we've got that full quantity estimate. It tells us the exact number of blocks we'll need for this design. And very easy to do that. You saw in one click, I can just print this off if I needed to. And just like the other one, I could add a second wall if I need to. So very useful tool here. Again, I encourage you guys to use this. And lots of times what we can do is we can compare the estimates from here with our retaining wall and courtyard design apps, just to make sure we get the best possible estimate that we provide to our customers. So that is the estimating tool. I'm going to jump back into my presentation here. We pretty much talked about all that. But one thing to note is that with these estimating tools, we talked about how we can input our rates at how fast our crews work. We want to keep coming back to this estimating tool and update those numbers, because we want to make sure that we are getting paid fairly for the amount of work we're doing and how quickly we're working. And by coming back into that block information page and updating those values, we're able to stay current with our most up-to-date information on how quickly we work and the rates that we charge, just to get that really the best possible estimate for our customers. Now that estimating tool, again, it's going to put together those estimates of, your 1-wall projects or your 5-wall projects. It can give all the estimates separate, or it can put them all together. So that's going to be very beneficial for you to have, and it's going to save you tons of time on getting something out to your customer or whoever you're submitting your estimate or bid to. The fact that you're able to put in the prices and create a cost estimate for your project as well is going to save you a lot of time and really just help keep everything in one place to maximize that efficiency. It does work with all of our different products. So if you've got a project with multiple different parts on it, you can always use different estimates for each different product. And then lastly, inside of that app, you can also save the project to come back to later and modify if you need to. That's also a huge benefit that's worth noting as well. But that takes us through the estimating tool. And now we've got SketchUp. So SketchUp is going to be really a huge tool that you guys have available to you to use to help your customers visualize their retaining walls or courtyard patio projects as best as possible. What you'll see, one thing with SketchUp, I guess, is that SketchUp is a 3D modeling software that a lot of landscape designers, design build contractors, really lots of customers already use. So there's people out there using these tools to their benefit. Now, a big reason that it's become so important in today's market is that a lot of TV stations like the DIY network or HGTV has started airing lots of shows where basically they're remodeling properties for their customers. And they're going through with the customer and showing them 3D models of their finished kitchens, of their finished houses, and they're walking their customers through 3D models to really get them to visualize themselves in those projects, or having their house actually look like that. What that does is it gets a customer very excited about the project, and it's going to help them commit to things sooner. Now, also the reason that we went with SketchUp for the 3D modeling software that we want to put our tool into is that it has a huge user base. And with that user base, they've allowed other users to create 3D models that you're able to download and bring into your own models for free. And you'll see how that gets used with our 3D modeling tool and where it becomes such a benefit in really creating these designs as efficiently as possible. So you'll see here, we'll go into SketchUp and how to download SketchUp, where to get it from, and how to get our extension into it in just a bit. But one thing I want to jump into is that we do have these SketchUp reference cards available for you to use. Basically, what they're going to have is step-by-step instructions on how to install SketchUp and how to install our extension inside of SketchUp as well. So that's really going to be the best tool that you have for how to make sure you get this all installed properly. And then on the back side of the card, it's also going to have some information on tips and tricks designing inside of SketchUp. But what we're going to do is go ahead and take a minute to go through a live version of our SketchUp showing. So the first part of that is that I'm just going to go ahead and go to our browser and just type in SketchUp download versions. So anything like that, and I can click on download all here. What download all is going to allow me to do is it's going to bring up a page with all of the previous versions of SketchUp available. So you'll see here, it goes up to 2020 and back to 2017. Now this SketchUp Make 2017 version, that's going to be a free hobbyist version that you can use for free if you're not selling your designs. So basically, if you're new to 3D modeling and you want to see if this is something that's worth your company investing into, you can just download this Make 2017 version, and that's going to be a free version to just kind of mess around with and test out this stuff. Or if you use that Make version and you see that it's very beneficial to you and it's something that you want to, commit to using, you can also download these newer versions as well, the Pro versions. But basically, once you download SketchUp and you jump into it, I'm going to jump into it here, you'll see something like this. All you have to do is choose a template and start using SketchUp. Now, I'm inside of SketchUp here. What I'm going to do is go ahead and select my person. I'm going to delete them. Don't really need them in there. But what I want to do is now download our AB 3D modeling tool extension. So inside of SketchUp here, I'm going to click on this Window tab. I'm going to drop down to Extension Warehouse. And I'm going to go ahead and type in Allan Block. Click Enter. And we're going to be the one result that shows up here once it loads. It looks like it's holding up here, so we're just going to go ahead and try that again. There we go. This time it worked. I can go ahead and click on Allan Block 3D Modeling Tool. We're going to have some information on the 3D Modeling Tool here, but I'm just going to go ahead and click Install. When I click Install, it'll start installing it straight into SketchUp, and then I'll get a notice that says your extension has been successfully installed, and now I'll have a new tab here that's called Extensions. Now inside of here, I can go ahead and click Extensions. I can click Allan Block 3D Modeling Tools, and you'll see we get a new toolbar that shows up here on the side. Now, we've got 4 different buttons here. We've got a Load Script button that looks like a folder. We've got a Favorites button that looks like a star. We've got a Kit button, or a Patio Packages button that says Kit on it. And we've got this Information tab here. Now, we're going to start off with this folder icon, so that Load Script button. When I click that, it brings up basically another web page here where I'm able to choose a product. I'm going to choose our AB collection. It lets you choose a block inside of your collection. I'm going to just choose a classic. And we're able to choose a color inside of that block type as well. So I'm going to just go ahead and choose a brown blend. And then it says Open File. So we're going to go ahead and click Open File. And this is where we're going to look at, really look for the options that we put in here, or that Ruby script that we got back from our email, from our retaining wall app and our courtyard app. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up a retaining wall app option here. This is one that I've saved before. I just go ahead and click on retainingwall.rb. I'm going to go ahead and click Open. And it's just going to take a few seconds, and we're going to get a 3D model of our cross sections for the retaining wall app we designed, or the retaining wall design we made. And then we're going to get a full 3D model that really built itself. So we didn't actually have to know anything about 3D modeling, and didn't have to model anything. It just brought it in for us. So what I'm going to do is show a customer this. It's fully textured. But let's say they look at it and they say, this texture is looking a little dark for me. I want something a little lighter in my backyard. All you have to do is you just have to highlight it, move it to the side, and we can go ahead and just click that folder icon again, and we can change our color to something lighter. Then we just click Open File. We just click the same Ruby script, and we click Open. Again, in just a few seconds, we're going to get the exact same design back, but now we've got the lighter block that they were looking for. So very easy to show your customer a ton of different options very easily. And you can do that with, I can change the type of product I'm using. So if I wanted to show them an ashlar blend, all I have to do is really just delete that. Click the folder icon. I can change to an ashlar pattern. Maybe I'll go 3-course gray blend, Open File, choose the same Ruby script, and click Open. And again, in just a few seconds, I'm going to get that model in again with a different block type here. Now I've got the blended pattern. So that's how you can quickly show a customer different options for their retaining wall designs. But now let's jump into our courtyard one. With the courtyard product, I can go ahead and click on the file, but now I'm going to change my product collection to our courtyard collection. I'm going to build with Yorks. I'm going to stick with brown blend, and I can go ahead and just click Open File. Now we're going to jump into our courtyard Ruby script that we got back in the email and save somewhere on our computer. I'm going to go ahead and click Open, and in just a few seconds, it's going to load it into place. Now we have a default paver put in there, but you can always change that inside of SketchUp. But one thing you'll notice is that this courtyard wall that we brought in here, this patio, is looking a little bare. So if I want to soup this up a bit and make it look a little more professional, I can actually go over here to this star icon, or the favorites button, click on that, and it's going to take you to the Allan Block website to a page with a drop down. And this drop down is going to allow me to add in 3D models that have already been designed. So I'm going to soup up my patio, so I'm going to choose a patio table and chair to add to it. This option in the bottom left hand corner, I like the look of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on 3D Warehouse. It's going to open up a page for it. I'm going to click Download 2017 model because that's the model of SketchUp I'm using. I'm just going to drag my browser down, and where it downloaded in my browser, I'm just going to drag that right into my model. And in just a few seconds, it brings it right into my model. I can drag it to where I want it with the Move tool. And now it's in my 3D model, and I didn't have to model anything with it. So that's already made our patio look a little nicer. Now, I was looking on the Allan Block website at some of the courtyard products we have available, and I saw a grilling station that I liked that was one of their weekend projects. All I have to do to add that into my design is now, instead of clicking the star icon, we're going to click on the kit icon, so that patio packages icon. That's again going to bring you to our website with a drop down that's going to have our patio package options. So you can bring in a 3D model of our patio packages that are pre-designed, or I can click on elements. The elements are going to be these weekend projects using the courtyard product that you can add to your 3D model. So I want to add this grilling station right into my patio. I just go ahead and click on the 3D warehouse button down here. I click on Download 2017 model, just like before. I'm going to drag this down, get into my downloads, and drag that grill file right into my model. Again, that's going to put it in there in just a second. It's placed it in there. Now all I have to do is move it into place. I'm going to have it kind of intersecting our patio seating wall here. And now we've got a grill that's built right into our courtyard wall. So you can see how in just adding a couple of these models in here, I made a 3D model that already looks much more professional than it was brought in. And I haven't had to model anything yet. But now, where the true value of this comes in is I can start creating a whole scene. So I've got a retaining wall over here, and I've got a courtyard patio over here. I can combine the two. So I'm going to come over here. This is the one 3D modeling part I'm going to do in the whole thing. All I'm going to do is click on this rectangle icon. I'm going to click here at the top of my box. And then I'm just going to drag this box all the way around here. Now it's gray, so I'm going to want to paint it. Grass. Click on it. And now it matches the grass section below my retaining wall. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my model here. I'm just going to highlight it all. I'm going to grab it by the corner down here and move it with my Move tool. And I'm going to drag it right onto this green space here. And now I've got my courtyard patio right in front of my retaining wall. Now, in order to soup it up a little more, I'm just going to go jump into that favorites button. And I'm going to go ahead and add some hydrangeas above my retaining wall. So again, now I'm jumping through this a little quickly, but as you get more familiar with SketchUp, you'll be able to really streamline this process so that you're able to do this as quickly as I am. Some of you guys, may be faster than me at it if you've used SketchUp in the past. But again, I'm just copying some hydrangeas. Obviously, if you wanted to spend more time on the project, you could do that here as well and actually put in different flowers or maybe some other aspects for the top of your retaining wall. But I'm just going to put a few in here. See quite a bit. Obviously, the owner our customer here is a big fan of hydrangeas, and we're trying to really create a story that they will like. So I've placed my hydrangeas all around the top of my retaining wall that we're going to show them. And now we're going to go back into that favorites button. We'll add some trees now. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into trees. I'm going to click on 3D Warehouse. I'm going to click on Download 2017 model for that tree. And again, I'm just going to drag it into my project here. I'm going to move it somewhere. I'm going to copy it a few times just to, again, make my design look a little more exciting. So now I've got this portion, this kind of corner of this retaining wall designed out. All I have to do is zoom in to a spot that looks nice for a customer, and now this is something that I can show them as a scene. So basically, I've got something here that looks way more professional than we started, and something that's going to really get them thinking about this in their own backyard. So with this scene, the last final touch we're going to do to it is we're going to click on View. We're going to click on Shadows, and it's going to add a new depth to this model. So now there's shadows in the model. You can see we can change the time of day if we need to, but basically it's just going to add a level to that professionalism and really get a customer excited about this project. Now, if this is something that I want to add into a print off, all I have to do is click on File, Export, 2D Graphic, and that's going to allow me to save this as an image. Now, the other cool thing with SketchUp is that, I'm just going to jump through this, we do have available SketchUp tutorials right on our website. So on the Allan Block website, there's an option that says Allan Block 3D. If you click on that, you can click on Request a Local Training, and we will basically work with you. Well, especially right now, we'll work on you over a webinar format, kind of like this, where we can walk you through step by step, learning how to use SketchUp, just like you saw me doing there. So we'll kind of show you the basics of SketchUp, get you familiar with it, and how to use the 3D modeling tool. Another good spot to learn about SketchUp is on YouTube. You can just search SketchUp tutorial, and there's tons of videos that can teach you on there as well. Now, again, we do have some outputs as well that we can, once we save that picture, that JPEG, we can actually open up a professional looking output that we've pre-designed, and we can add that image right in there to create this more professional looking showcase of the 3D model. But one of the coolest things that I want to show you here is once you do have SketchUp installed on your, once you do have your SketchUp model created, you can actually use the SketchUp mobile app. So it's a mobile app that's available on iPads or iPhones or Android devices. And basically, they've got a free version and they've got a pro version. The pro version costs $10 per year, but with the free version, what you're able to do is show customers a 3D model that you've designed. So you can see here, this is what you can do with the free version. We've brought a courtyard patio in here. Basically, any SketchUp file we can show, we can show any SketchUp file to a customer inside of our mobile device. But with the Pro version of the app, you'll get this AR button down here. When you click that AR button, what it's going to do is open up your phone or your tablet's camera, and so this is all recorded right on my phone. So you're seeing what a customer would see on your phone. What it's going to do is open up the camera on your phone and bring that design into real life. So you can see it tells you some instructions. It's going to ask me to scan my environment. I went outside of the office here to the golf course for this example. It's going to bring in my model, and all I have to do is bring my camera as close as I can to the surface I want to put it on. I'm going to tap my screen to lock it in place, and then I can walk outside of my project. And now you can see, if you're walking through a customer's property with them and you have this 3D model available, you're able to walk your customer through their patio or through their retaining wall that you just designed for them. So that 3D model gets taken to a whole new level. So we can walk completely out of the patio, we can walk inside of it, and we can even look into our fireplaces. It gets that in depth. So a very cool tool that allows you to uh, really maximize the amount of this 3D visualization or visualization in general that we're talking about, and say that we're saying helps a customer commit to that project so much sooner. So kind of tying up SketchUp here, really that visualization is proven to sell projects. That's why it's so valuable. We're not only available or able to provide concept options, but we're also able to create those images and put them into professional looking pages that we can add to our packets. You guys saw in that whole model that I created, or that whole scene, we designed all of that in probably about 15 minutes or less. And that's something that really the amount of work we had to do is minimal. And that's going to save you a ton of time. A customer might think that you worked hours and hours on that design, when in reality it only took us less than 20 minutes or less than 15 minutes for that. And all of the things we used in that are free. That's another huge, huge benefit to you. So we're going to kind of jump into our scope of work document. This is one of the last tools we're going to go through. This is available for you guys to download. We have copies of it that we can send you. But basically, what the scope of work document is it's a document that we've put together that's going to provide a checklist that you and your customer can go through, or you can provide to a customer and show in your pre-construction meeting to kind of set expectations for where the project is going. Now, I don't know if you can see in the picture here, but basically we've created a really an Excel document. I think I've got it here. I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. Oh, it's not wanting to open, but basically what it is it's got options here for, it's a checklist. So have utilities been contacted, and have they been marked? And then it's got a checkbox. Have permits been pulled? It's got a checkbox. And basically you go through this document, and it's a step-by-step instruction. It tells you what products you're going to be used, who's going to be in charge of what type of grid is going to be used. Has a design been approved and signed? And you're going to go through this with your customer to make sure all expectations are put out on the table and everybody knows what they are responsible for. It's a hugely beneficial document, saves you a ton of time and hassle further on in the project where a customer might not be happy with something they got. You're able to show, where your boundaries are and what's your issues and what the customer is responsible for. So hugely valuable. We've got it there. And also attached into that is a contract as well that you can use. We've got a model contract in there that you can create to have your contractor sign so that all of the legal issues are taken care of and everybody's expectations are met there as well. But that scope of work and contract document, again, is just going to be a great checklist for you to get through all of those expectations, make sure everything is very transparent with the customer. It's going to really increase that professionalism. So if before you were just going based off of wording and saying, hey, this is something I'll do, I need to use this product and about this much of it, now it's all documented. Documentation is what's going to avoid all of our problems later on in the project because we've got it written down what we've provided to the customer. And another nice thing is that a lot of this revolves around the product you're using. And because we used our estimating tool before, we have all of that information that we can just input straight in from our tools we used earlier. Now, the very last portion I'm going to go over is about creating a timeline. So this kind of goes hand in hand with our scope of work document, but that timeline is just going to be a great tool that sets transparency and expectations for the project you're working on. By being out front with this stuff, your customer is going to be much more comfortable with you, and you guys are going to agree on things earlier on in the process so that there's no surprises later on. Really, we want to connect that with our scope of work document. We're going to basically have step-by-step instructions on the tasks that we need to hit, and how many people will be on site. So we say we're going to order material. That's going to happen 1 week prior to our project start date, and doesn't take any crew members on site. We've got our site prep and footing, which is going to take 3 working days, and it's going to take 3 crew members on site. Materials delivered is going to take 1 working day with 1 crew member on site. Install product is going to be 7 working days with 5 crew members on site. Completion and cleanup with 2 working days with 5 crew members on site. And then a final walkthrough with the owner with just 1 crew member and 1 working day. Now, this is just an example we put together. Obviously, it's going to be different, and how yours looks is going to be different as well. But basically, you're always going to want to add a 6th-month on-site inspection. So this is going to, again, just improve that professionalism with the process and say, hey, this is something that quality is very important to us. We want to make sure we come back to the site in 6 months just to make sure that everything looks great still. And then also use this as a selling tool. When you come back in 6 months, a customer might have other projects that now they're ready to start working into. So use it as a selling tool to try to get more work as well. But really, now we pull that all together to create PDFs that we can provide our customers for each of our different meetings. And that's going to take us to the end of our tools showcase, so our Allan Block tools showcase. Are there any questions that anybody has on this part of the presentation?
I unmuted Bruce too. Bruce, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but we're kind of rounding the bend here. We're going to go through a couple more things pretty quickly here, so we can we'll wrap this whole session up here. But Bruce, I don't know if you want to add anything to Jeremy's presentation. But Jeremy, great job. Thank you for presenting that.
Yeah, thank
no
you.
problem, Don.
I mean, Jeremy, as a young guy in this business, you did a wonderful job of explaining how the tools can be utilized, and a nice flow of step by step to create something that. And I love the way you use the example of, I'm a big fan. I love watching these do-it-yourself network, home renovations where they're using these types of tools. And this is what people are seeing out there, is the use of these levels. I think when I think about it, it's kind of overwhelming for me. Because I'm still, I remember doing the old, I had a simple contract, and I would do a little sketch on a piece of paper and say, here's my estimate, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith, sign here. And, and it was, as simple as that. And, this we're getting into, that was also at a time when landscape expectations were nowhere near what they are today. When I first got into this, you were lucky to, get a 400 square foot patio and a 600 square foot driveway, and that would be that would be it. Now we're into being able to model patios, outdoor living expectations, and creating that real visual for clients. And I, quite frankly, when I got into it, I never realized there was, it's just this is a paver, this is a wall. We're not trying to create these. Everything was functional rather than being an attraction to someone's home, an enhancement to somebody's home to the extent that it is today. So. We've for the most of you, we've already gone through. You've sat through the Allan Block training program on the how to do it. Now it's bringing you tools to show you how to earn more work, to put that learning that you already invested in learning about the fundamentals, how to build with Allan Block and how to build pavers, how to create more work where you're using those. That investment of time. And the thing that pops out to me, Jeremy, is
Mm-hmm.
It did not take much time for you to do it. I know you're experienced with this, but it's also, offering up your experience to anyone who wants to get on a one-on-one or a conversation with you online, as to, like, we'll help you use these tools, help you learn how to use the tools. And I think that's really the essence of this. Just like in the Allan Block certification, we have it in a staged type of environment where you come to the course, you do some hands-on, but then you go away and you build a wall. And it's when you go away and you build the wall that then you get that next level of you get your certification, that you fundamentally know what you're doing. With this, the similar is to know that you know what you're doing. To get your advanced certification is you actually put the tools in place and use them on a project. And that's, the ultimate of any learning is taking advantage of it and doing it, and knowing that there's take the excuses off the table. We can, you put these tools in place, you make them perform for you. And what Donnie and Jeremy have told you is that they help sell projects. And I welcome, someone telling me that's on the program this morning that I used them and I sold a job with them, and wow, this was really terrific. So this is about building your business, and knowing that you've already got the fundamental expertise on the how to. This is giving you that next level of resource that's. And I also liked the way you said it. It's free. This is very sophisticated stuff, and but Jeremy and Donnie, the way you've laid it out, it seems pretty darn easy. So I thank you for that, and I pass her back to Donnie.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, real quick. So kind of tagging on what Bruce just said right there. So you folks have an understanding on how the tools work. We're going to actually ask you to, we're going to send these cards to you. We have your email from registering for the class here today, the webinar. So we're going to send this email out to you with this training card. We ask you to fill it out and send it back to myself. And we're going to do a schedule of some one-on-one training with the tools that Jeremy just went over, where you're actually working the controls. That helps that's going to complete the training course for today once that's done. So if you have time this afternoon, let us know. But we're going to send this card to you once as a wrap up here, and then we'll have one of our staff members walk you through these programs. But you're actually going to run the controls. Jeremy did it for you. Typically, when we're in a classroom setting, you're actually bringing a computer in there. We're going to ask you to work the controls while Jeremy's doing those in the classroom setting. But this is how we thought would be the best way, so you understand the basic inner working, so to speak, of those tools that Jeremy just presented. So great job again, Jeremy. So that will be in an email that we'll send to you. A couple of you have asked for that scope of work document. I'll attach that too in that email to you, so you have a copy of it, but it is available on our website as well. But just to wrap things up here real quick, I'm going to show you, and these packets are available. So Jeremy said we're going to tie this all together at the end here. So here's the packets that we propose that you put together, and again, these are just templates. You can customize these. These are available in a Word document, again, on our website, and you can grab them and customize them to your likings, change the names and such, and then customize them for your customer as well. But for that initial meeting, portfolio meeting, these are just some of the things. No problem, Jeremy. Thanks. These are some of the things that we'd love to see you add to that. So here's your cover page that you see right here. Then, of course, this tells you what our company does. So this is going to be in a Word document that's available to you. So if this is something that you could see fit into your program at your company, great. But list the details of things that you guys perform on people's projects and what your company does. Understanding more about your needs. So those are the questions that we went over. So that's something you could have in there. That's so you have them in front of you when you go to that initial meeting. There's less than 10 questions right there. that you can look back on and, of course, add more or delete out if you wanted to for that initial meeting. And then in that portfolio packet, of course, it's going to be your resume, your qualifications and overview, training that you've done. And, of course, you can get a hold of Bruce, and he can have that for you. But that would be for the individual that's on the site there, and we just go through that resume that's been done that we built for you. You're obviously going to have those photos in there of projects you've done in the past. And then the design ideas if they don't know what they want. So that booklet is available for you as well to take with you to that very first meeting. And then maybe just a sample of an output from the retaining wall app or the courtyard app, and showing what the drawings that you can offer to them. And it's just a sample of it. Obviously, it's not site specific because we don't know what they want yet, but this is showing them what you can offer to them, and of course a sample of maybe a 3D rendering as well that you can have in that packet. But that's for the first meeting. For that second meeting, let me get to page 1 here. Again, we have that cover page. It's editable for you. Maybe at this point you have an idea what they want. You can change that picture out on that cover page. But you're going to bring to that meeting on that second one, creating a plan for your outdoor living space. So elements considered to meet your needs. So this is your objectives you had, layout of the yard. This is everything that you talked about in that first meeting. It's going to be laid out in this document here. So we just picked some objectives here that we thought would be necessary. But those are some of the things you might come out from that initial meeting. Those 5 objectives for that site. You maybe have that plot plan that was you picked up from the town, or the homeowner had a copy of it, or it's a sketch you put together yourself. But just saying, okay, this is what you folks are looking for as part of that proposal meeting. And maybe now we'll have a output from the program of what the wall is going to look like. And again, you saw, Jeremy, how easy it was to create that. And once you get used to that, folks, you can zip right through these programs pretty easy. So there's your bird's eye view and an elevation view of what they're looking for. And then we have the courtyard here. Again, a bird's eye view as well. And then choices of product or the collection. So maybe we're going to offer them the Ashlar blend. Maybe we're going to offer them the Abbey blend, and maybe we're going to offer them the Aztec blend too, the Ashlar Aztec as well. So your color choices. Here's the Aztec and the color choices for that. And then, of course, the Abbey blend and the color choices for that. And then the courtyard. And all of that's part of that package for that initial meeting or that proposal meeting as well. So, and then maybe a rendering of what it would look like when it's all said and done. Don't get too specific with it, but you have that rendering there. And then our third meeting, this is that pre-construction meeting we have. And here's that checklist of items we want to make sure that are being taken care of when we're at that pre-construction meeting. Now we're going to have a resume of everybody that's going to be on site. So your resume is attached to this again, of projects you've done in the past. And of course, you're going to have that resume too of additional supervisors on site and who they're to report to and their duties on there. And once that's created, that's something that's canned in your system. That's usually printed out every time you go to when you go to a pre-construction meeting. This doesn't have to be done every time. And you may not do this for every single project out there. Obviously, folks, we know that. But this is looking at the grand scheme of things. And then, of course, in that pre-construction meeting, this is what they've picked out for their final proposal. And you're going to do that residential submittal tool so they understand exactly what they're getting, the courtyard as well. And then some ancillary products that you may be offering to them, like Wall Drain Pro, that Jeremy talked about before. Then here's that actual design for that specific project, the layout, the elevation. Now we got our grids installed in there too, so we're showing where the G-grids are going to go, and then some cross sections for that project as well. And this is all simple output right from our programs, folks, and transitioning right into the courtyard as well. And estimates that are available there too. Then we roll into that scope of work document, as Jeremy talked about. We're going to check off those boxes, who's responsible for what, some prices attached to that, and that's going to be tied right into our contract document that we have available for you. And then right into that last thing that Jeremy showed there is the timeline. And we're going to review that timeline with our customers at the end there, so they understand exactly what we are going to be doing and when we're going to be there. So, Bruce, that's really the presentation in a nutshell there. We are going to do some follow-up emails for you. There is some qualifications. So once you get through that skill set portion, that one-on-one portion, folks, there there's just like the certification workshop, we actually ask you out and do a proposal and submit it to us. We don't want any pricing. We're not looking for any pricing on there. Just the fact that you know how to use some of our qualifications, and I'll email that out to you as well here as a follow-up. You understand what those qualifications are. But Bruce, I don't know if you want to add anything else to this presentation. I really, for 2.5 hours, folks, thank you for sitting through this. That was, appreciate you you being here today. Again, Bruce, you want to add anything to this?
Just thank you, Donnie, for putting this together for us, and recognizing that this was the hopeful of this was that we were going to all be face to face about a month and a half or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
To do this, but we're all evolving in our learning, and this is an opportunity to say this is pretty interesting. Coming out of this, these situations that we're in right now, and looking, you taking a little bit of time to digest these types of resources and say, there's times are changing ahead, and this can be part of your changing ahead. I mean, we hear about a lot more about creating visions for people, and I could see somebody going out and doing a distanced meeting with somebody on site. You get the pictures, you get the ideas, you get what they're looking for, and then actually creating a presentation to somebody, even online like this, to say, this is what we're going to do for you, and this is how we're going to do it. And you're talking to somebody through through the computer, so there's less of the personal space interaction. So it's and I'm seeing that already with just the likes of you can sign. I just was involved with a real estate deal where we signed, everything was done remotely. All you did was, you put your finger on your phone and sign. So there's changing things ahead, changing times ahead, and this though was developed before we really understood where the effect of COVID on us, but taking this as into your customers, and I guess taking advantage of it. And the truest thing is that I've ever appreciated about any learning is the sooner you do it, the better your retention. We went through a ton of information this morning, but the sooner you jump in, you try it, and you reach out for some helps from us, Jeremy, myself, Donnie, working through it, the details with you. It's sooner you do it, the quicker you're going to see return on that investment that you've put into this morning of your time to learn this stuff. So thank you again for those of you on the call this morning, and I just thanks again to Donnie and to Allan Block Corp. It's been about a 6-month process in putting this together, but indeed it's an offshoot of years of continued support that Allan Block brings to the marketplace. And this is just another example of leading in the industry and bringing you more and more tools to build your business and make more money and be more successful. So thank you.
Bruce, so we had a couple of questions. One question came from one of the gentlemen here. They asked if they'll be able to see this session again and show it to his lead people. Absolutely. We're going to send out a recorded session. This whole thing's been recorded, so we will be able to send this out. There'll be a link available for you to rewatch this if you want to. So good for you. And another question I got was, can I get a sample of the meetings 1, 2, and 3? Yes, they're downloadable from our website, but I will attach them to the email I send out as a follow-up. One last thing I want to add, folks. For those of you that belong to ICPI, this qualifies for you for 4 hours of education credit. So although it didn't take us that long, that's what the program was set up for. If we're in a classroom setting, it probably would have taken that long. So I will send that evaluation form out to you. So if you want those credits, fill the evaluation form out and send it up. But I'll detail this all in an email to everybody that attended here today. That's all I have, Bruce. I really thank you for pulling this together with your people. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And you are the charter members or the founding members of the virtual online advanced residential. So congratulations. I want to see one of you folks get qualified for this sooner than later. So thanks for joining us here today.